This is Zaire, and we're back with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. So, last time, we got our 180th emblem, we reaped our reward, and life is looking pretty good. But, there's a reason why this is called Sonic Adventure 2 and Battle. So, to help me demonstrate why that is, I've brought on someone who hasn't been here since I started going on YouTube. Why don't you introduce yourself to the lovely people?
Hello, I'm Kirbion.
That it?
Yeah. Don't need no introductions. I've done that before. Not on YouTube, but...
Oh boy. So this vague blob named Kirbion is going to be helping me out. So without further ado...
Decide the rules of engagement.
Oh, we have got multiplayer.
Who will you be? Let's rock! I promise.
Alright.
Revenge! Select the stage.
So, with multiplayer, we have 4 different levels with 2 to 3 stages each. Across 3 different game modes. Level 1s are always a bit of a weird derivation. They're sort of like the quick matches. And they've got a very limited theme. So we're going to see that starting with Downtown Race.
I might be a little bit rusty, since I haven't played this for a couple months, but I will do my best.
Let me show you my real power.
Alright, and so, as we're going through with this, I thought we'd do a little bit of game and review. So, starting off, just quick thoughts on Sonic and Shadow. Sonic's the blue blur we've all known. He's gotten a little goofy as time has gone down. He is much more about the one-liners than being the cool dude with an attitude. That's okay. Meanwhile, we have Shadow, who is Sonic, if Sonic was cool.
Slightly angstier too.
Yes, he's definitely more interesting of a character to me, but, you know, this came out when I was a teenager, so of course I'd be more interested in Shadow.
I mean, he also had an origin story. I'm not sure if Sonic officially had one.
No. Ah, you beat me.
It's close.
No chance to
Close
win
race.
against me.
But I like Shadow. He's a bit of an extreme version of Sonic. He's much more focused on being cool than Sonic is, and as you go through the 3D Sonics, he becomes a little less married to that idea. But yes, definitely more angsty. He definitely has a lot more hang-ups in the past where Sonic is just kind of whatever, just keep moving. As for the stages, so Grind Race, we are going to be entirely on rails.
Let's do this.
Let me
That
show
was
you my
always my
real
favorite part of the
power.
Sonic games. Did you have any problems with the rails in like that?
Sometimes. It's well, they really let you fall a long way. It's definitely based on which rail it is and where you are on the rails.
I always had trouble switching rails when I played this.
They get better as time goes on, but we're kind of limited with this game. So, I also wanted to do a course and review. But there are a couple of courses that aren't going to be available in multiplayer. So the first one, because it's somewhat fitting, Pyramid Cave. Pyramid Cave would be a good level if it weren't for those apple keys.
Alright, I personally didn't have too much of an issue with the apple keys. There was some parts of Pyramid Cave that I didn't quite like.
The one thing I did like was on hard mode, I picked up pretty quickly that you could throw it at that out-of-the-way hourglass to save some time. But otherwise, it just massively slows the game down. It's not fun. If you remove those segments, and also related to hard mode, those surprise ghosts, it would be a really good level, I think.
The ghosts were probably my biggest issue, because they they're a little hard to predict since you don't have much experience with them.
And again, this is mostly on hard mode, because on the other missions, they're still out there, and you can kind of see where they are. You might get caught your first time, and then you'll figure out what's going on, so avoid them. But in hard mode, there are some on that long, very time-sensitive stretch that are completely invisible. Oh, hold on, let's quit this because we wanted to change up characters.
Let's do this.
Let me show you my real power.
Another time shadow. So we have some alternative characters.
Stage.
So Sonic and Shadow, they both have abilities that proc whenever you reach 20, 40, or 60 rings. If you get to those thresholds and you hit B, with 20 rings, you will activate a speed up. With 40 rings, you will initiate an attack on your opponent. And with 60 rings, you will stop time for your opponent for a little while. So Amy's deal is that she is a lot slower than everyone else. But instead of every 20 rings, she gets an ability every 10 rings.
Are they all time stop?
They aren't all time stop, but considering you only have to go 30 to get that, you're going to hear Amy a lot. Metal Sonic, meanwhile, has no abilities whatsoever, but you can hold B to lose all control and put up a shield.
I don't know how that's going to play out, but hopefully it'll be for the best.
As far as characters go, Metal Sonic does not have a personality to speak of. And I did not like Amy. Not one bit. Amy is... she is very one-dimensional with her feelings towards Sonic, driving her entire plot. And she's just kind of there to fill in some of the plot holes. Like, why is she able to get ahead of Tails, enter a prison facility, steal a card key, and get Sonic out? And then after all that, she ends up being a replacement Maria for Sonic, or for Shadow rather. Anyways, City Escape is a fantastic first level. It just really drops you into the action. It's really fast-flying fun. I think they couldn't have done any better choosing a first level for this game.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed Cityscape.
And of course, everyone loves the music.
Yeah, the music's probably the best part of Cityscape.
I guess that's about all I have to say on the matter. So let's get to another course that we're not going to be talking about. Crazy Gadget.
Crazy Gadget.
Crazy Gadget was an interesting idea that was carried out poorly. The gravity switches were pretty, very interesting idea, but they did not pan out very well. Granted, there is a level famous for gravity that did even worse, but it really slows you down whenever you have to flip them. That said, as much as I disliked the Tetris blocks at the end, I thought it was a really good, like, final exam. I just wish that they could have programmed it more solidly, because, especially in hard mode, trying to manipulate gravity and worm your way under that box, that was beyond frustrating. It was a mess.
I kind of dislike the puzzle segment of the final area of Crazy Gadget. Mostly because it's a game where you're supposed to be going fast, or you're supposed to be going through the stages fairly quickly if you want to get a high score.
That's the one area I praised.
Like, if you know how to do the puzzle right, then that's fine, but
It actually, like, the upside down homing attack segments, those are actually pretty good.
But I do know that there's a couple ways of getting around some of the puzzle segments. Like you can just launch yourself like a catapult out of near the starting area, I believe, and go straight to the goal ring.
What?
There's some sort of crazy high-speed technique you can use to kind of skip everything.
Uh-oh, this is a problem.
I
Alright.
thought that was Metal Sonic.
Nope. So Metal Harbor. I really like Metal Harbor. It's a very fast-paced, very short and quick level. Enjoy. It's just something that's really fun to get down and
Wait a minute.
jerk. Just sort of perfect. It's a very easy speed run level. Nope, there we go.
Just a quick note, most of the characters, well, Amy and Metal Sonic don't have the Lightspeed Dash. Well, I've heard that apparently normal Sonic and Shadow do.
Yeah. So most of the power-ups don't carry over. And we can see that I just completely negated his attack there with the Black Shield. But I am in trouble with those time stops. My shield does not do anything for me with those.
Just wait a minute.
Nope. Now you can flounder around with your control stick to speed up the time lock. Oh, you got me there. Oh, I can't make that jump. Yeah, I think this one's yours.
Capture mechanics are a little unfair, I'd probably say.
Yeah. Well, it is an interesting dynamic that we haven't gone over yet. Whenever one of us hits a checkpoint, whoever dies from that point on will respawn there. And sometimes you will also get one of your special abilities unlocked, but well, Metal Sonic doesn't have those. So it sucks to be him.
You could use the checkpoints as an excellent griefing mechanic, though.
Yeah. So next, for getting all A's with a character, you unlock an alternative costume for them. And each of these costumes has a unique ability associated with them. So, alternative Sonic, each one of his 20 ring marks will get him an attack.
Bring it on.
So who's next?
Whereas Alt Shadow will always get out a time stop.
That's exactly what I want.
Alright, so White Jungle. This one's alright, but it ends up being the more forgettable of the jungles for me.
Is over?
I'm just not really sure what I can say about it.
I really liked White Jungle.
It is very straightforward fun, but there's also nothing I feel that really stands out about it.
Yeah, but I feel like it's just, in general, so standardly good. Wow. That's just so standardly good that I actually quite enjoy it. Like, I like most of Shadow stages. But I quite enjoyed the White Jungle and Green Forest of both Shadow and Sonics fairly well.
Wait, why did I get a speed up there? No, don't take me with you!
Here I go.
None of us got that checkpoint.
I'm trying not to die.
Hey guys, let's
It
play
seems like
this.
when you get that vine, the other person has to take a longer path.
Pretty much. Might have made it a more interesting course if it was the opposite route. If you were slightly behind, you actually get ahead there. Okay, so that is our introduction to all of them. Now, for level 3, we are got a bag here so that we can randomize which characters we're choosing. So, if you would please. Okay, so that one means that you've got Amy and I've got normal Sonic.
I thought it was the other way around, but sure.
Red comes before orange.
Yeah, but you. Alright, ready.
So, normal Sonic.
It's my turn now.
Select a stage.
Okay, so we did those. Green Forest. So Green Forest stands out a lot more in my mind.
Let's do this.
Of
I'm going to do my best, Sonic.
course you are. It just looks a lot cleaner for one. It's more vibrant than White Jungle. Oh boy. I'll leave you ahead. Man, I got hit.
I don't believe Amy has the spin dash, does she?
She doesn't have a spin dash. Neither does
Oh, okay.
Metal Sonic. Not enjoying missing that. Now,
Wait a minute.
at the very end, if you wait around, it looks a little janky. Just at the end, because you see all the pieces vibrating. But considering you have a time limit for the stage, you're probably not going to notice it straight away. Back here.
Just wait a minute.
No, I don't want to wait a minute.
Just wait a minute.
Please, no. Amy cannot get ahead even once.
Fair and balanced gameplay.
Yeah, this is over. You could have fallen off there.
I almost sped off.
Alright, next up. Okay, so yellow is Shadow. Oh, interesting how that panned out. 'Cause I got Sonic.
I promise you. Revenge. Select a stage.
Okay, Skyrail. Skyrail was a disappointment. Not because it's a particularly
Let me show
bad
you my
level,
real power.
but it doesn't quite play off to Sonic and Shadow's strengths, and it's one of Shadow's already, wow, too fast, undercounted levels. It's also not a very good multiplayer level, but at this point, you're not going to see why. It has everything to do with these bumper propellers.
Playtime is over.
Yeah, I kind of like the theming of Skyrail, and I remember liking it a lot when I was a kid, but it doesn't feel like it plays all that well anymore. Mostly because some of the biggest problems that this game had was, in my opinion, the rails,
Oh my god.
the rail systems, and this is probably one of the key levels with rails in it.
But, oh,
Playtime is over.
I caught up. Alright, let's see if I can actually make it up. Because Metal Sonic is way too fast, and if I had any ability to preserve my life, you'd be done.
Playtime is over.
No.
Playtime is over.
You don't even need to use any of those.
I don't even know what I have.
Disappear.
That's what you had.
Ah, it's a good thing to have.
I also can't blast shield while I'm on the rails.
Really now.
You're not as strong as I thought.
Alright, let's see which we are. Okay, so you're Super Shadow and I am Super Sonic. Well, we call them Super, but they're just alternate costumes. They're not explicitly better, but it's easy to think that they're better.
I mean,
Revenge.
only time stops is
Select
pretty
a
good.
stage.
Hey, Joel Maiden, welcome to the stream.
Hello.
Alright, Radical Highway. Now, I personally really like this level. It's not quite the same
Next.
starting impact that City Escape had. It doesn't have quite as memorable music, it's a lot less quick pace, but it's also a much more technical level, I find. Hello, Golden Spider, welcome to the stream.
Hello. I wonder if there's a way to avoid this.
Just leave that guy for you.
God, back on.
Here it comes.
There are some parts of this that I'm not particularly fond of. Mostly the lower track towards the end on the big bridge. That one's just sort of all being blown up by the wind. And so that can be slow. So make sure that you get the upper path when you get to that point. It's just sort of what I think.
I mostly like Radical Highway. The main thing is that some parts of it feel a little too scripted.
More of like the loops, you
Yeah.
mean?
Playtime is over. Chaos control.
Sonic wins. Sonic wins.
There's no avoiding that now, is there?
There is not. This is not Sonic vs. Shadow. Hello, Johnny Bot. Welcome to the stream. Oh no, I'm in the terrible place.
Alright. I'm just gonna reset the checkpoint.
Just giving up.
Here I go. Here I come. Sonic Wind.
Wait, did I just use speed up?
You did. I thought that you didn't get speed up or whichever other power you have, but oh, maybe you got it because of
Checkpoint?
yeah, checkpoint mercy.
Here I go. Sonic Wind. Here I go. Sonic Wind.
Okay.
Sonic Wind.
Okay.
Maria.
Yay, wind!
Wait, how'd you bounce back?
Wind!
Why is there wind on that part of the stage?
Because you were Amy earlier.
Here I go. Sonic Wind.
Alright.
Here I go.
You want okay.
Sonic Wind.
I just couldn't seem to spin dash for some reason. I just kept going for the roll. I probably wasn't gonna be able to catch up though.
Alright, now for the last four, which you need to clear the respective campaign to get, I think. No, it's clear all... What was the unlock requirement?
I don't know what you're asking me. I don't know these things.
See, beating all stages gets you a cart. Beating all stages with A's give you a alternate costume. Anyways, at this point, choosing favorite character. So, I'm Shadow. Are we gonna have any problem?
You can take it.
Okay.
I promise you. Revenge.
You can go alternate.
Select this.
I'm going for revenge. Not Shadow.
Okay, Final Rush. This is the better of the two final levels, I find. It's got a
Let me show
fairly
you my
interesting
real
conceit to it.
Bring it on.
And it's actually not that bad, I find, that it's rail-centric. There's a lot of ways that you can just sort of make your own shortcuts. Like,
I'm also going to be really feeling not having the bounce bracelets for this one.
oh, that's gonna suck.
Alright, well, I'm hoping for the best.
Gonna find out which way's quicker.
Definitely not like falling down.
Yep. Now we know.
Playtime is over.
One person gets the lead, expect the chaos control 24/7. Pretty much. Amy is terrible.
Here I go. Sonic Wind. Here I go.
Oh, stop there.
Sonic Wind.
Come on, go down. It's a waste of a speed up.
Oh, that's not how rails work, Sonic.
I'm
That's definitely not how rails work.
I am definitely feeling the half-screen disadvantage here. Come on, Alt Sonic, you're not allowed to have that. Oh, you actually caught up to me.
I grieved. I time stopped and committed suicide. Wait, what? I went through the bounce pad.
It's nice to be you. It was risky, but I'm glad it paid off.
That was risky, and I'm glad it didn't pay off.
You little goblin.
Sonic wins.
Yeah, that was not gonna end well. And unfortunately, I think that pulls you ahead.
It disappeared.
Nope.
Time stop.
You don't need that.
Sonic wins.
He's still on course.
You'll get hit for that.
Try not to. Okay, good. I got some insurance.
That's right, yeah.
Yep.
Faker, no chance to win against me.
You still good? Alright, now, final chase. This wanted to be something special, but they just didn't quite deliver.
Let me show you my
I'm
real
kind of surprised this got past QA. Because these little gravity cylinders are garbage. And I wish they weren't.
Oop.
It looks like they're a little kinder with them in two-player. What is this?
I got desynced from the platform.
playtime is over.
Just gonna hold on to that.
Here it comes.
As they hold on, I mean, waste it. Pretty much Golden Spider. Amy is entirely dependent on her ability to get rings, and that's usually a given.
Time is over.
But if somehow you're a master at keeping her away from them, then she becomes absolutely useless. Sadly, there aren't many players that I've seen that can do that.
Playtime is over. Disappear.
You can catch up a little.
That was exactly where I was.
Stop stopping for no reason. right at the end. Wow. This is why I hate these cylinders.
Let me get up. There we go.
Let's play again.
The amount needed for specials, yeah, 10 each. So half what you normally need. Alright, so score's even.
5-5.
But there's no more racing. Next up, we've got Emerald Hunt.
I will protect the Master Emerald. Select a stage.
That thing sounds like a good first level.
Alright, so Knuckles and Rouge. This was the first time I realized Knuckles had a personality, and it made me think that he was this really cool, composed character. And then I played Sonic Adventure DX, and it turns out that he is completely gullible. That was a bit of a shock to the system. These first stages, they only have one Emerald Shard each, and obviously it is a race between us to find that shard. Meanwhile, Rouge, I like Rouge for the most part. I like her early voice as it is now. She gets a different voice in a couple of games, and it's not to my taste. She sounds a lot older than the 16-year-old she is. That said, there are a lot of inconsistencies with her story. Like, I'm a spy working for the government, and I understand that Eggman is going to cause a lot of problems, namely death and mayhem. So how about I just go and help him on his quest, and make things unnecessarily difficult for the rest of us. You are close to it.
I don't know where I am.
I don't know where you are either.
Does the C-stick not control the camera?
No, you don't have... Well, the L and R buttons. Where the hell is it? Oh, you
Oh.
found it just as I saw it.
So there's only first to one?
Yeah, for the first stages.
Okay.
So this is the only time we see anything like Aquatic Mine. It's a nice, relaxing level, but it's very difficult to navigate, I find. Because you're just kind of worming through these tunnels. At least for the most part, it does have these water level mechanic going on. But unless you're in hard mode, or it's a very, very specific one that I've never particularly seen, you can just drop the water level to the bottom and you'll get all the emeralds fine.
For me, most of Knuckles and Rouge stages, I usually like them more if I'm able to navigate them a lot better, and if I'm able to remember certain
I am one with the Master
landmarks. So usually, as you go higher up on the difficulty or higher up on the stages for these guys, I kind of like the places less and less.
It is also difficult to talk about Rouge's character without mentioning her bust. For some reason, they wanted a really sexy character, I guess, to contrast with Amy. And they wanted to put this in a Sonic game. I mean, more power to them. It's kind of conspicuous that they put a lot of attention into the jiggle physics of her monoboob, though.
It's closer. No time for games. No time for games. Take this.
Somewhere.
Wow, the confusion lasted a long time.
It's around here somewhere. There it is.
It was just about to be a
You
race.
thought you were.
Ugh. Alright, so next up. So, Tikal is fairly unique in that she is faster than even Knuckles and Rouge. But her sonar only works for yellow and red. You do not get any green readings.
That's interesting.
Chaos Zero's claim to fame is that he just likes beating up the opponent. First of all, I want to say that it's great that they brought the main villain from Sonic Adventure 1 back and made him a completely viable character in multiplayer. I thought that was really cool. Even though, when I had this game, I had no idea who this was. He has longer range punches, and his time stop ability, which is, again, 60 rings, is a lot more punishing than anyone else's. Also, he can breathe in water.
I'm to call.
You say viable, but slower is usually a deal breaker for me.
True, he is slower. But if you get those rings, it's not going to matter.
I must do something.
It's around here somewhere. So, I'm not sure if we're up to...
Oh, there's hitboxes now.
Yeah, I think we're up to 3 now. Oh, it's around here.
Oh, there it is.
It's a nice sunset version of this. So Dry Lagoon is Rouge's first level. It seems a little odd to me that they start her off with that weird turtle mechanic. I mean, it's cute and everything, but it's definitely confusing if it's your first time.
Ah, I can jump out.
Chaos Zero time stop 1 hour. Not quite, but still a lot. But overall, it's a good one, and I spent a lot of time there farming unicorns.
I will
What are you doing?
Oops.
select a stage.
I'm to call.
Select a stage.
So we got egg quarters now.
Egg quarters, I do not like the 2 pyramid levels.
I must do something.
I
It-
find that there's a huge lack of landmarks.
It is an interesting mechanic that there's a stealth mechanic, but the hints are just all over the place. Wish I knew where this one was.
What was the hint saying again?
Red and silver moving back and forth. Dark room.
I'm sorry.
Wait, what was that?
It knocks me down if I'm on the ground. Good path, okay. Can't go that way.
Yeah, that's 30 seconds.
Yep.
Ah, you died on this one.
Alright, and finally, the alternative forms. I don't remember what these do.
I will protect the Master Emerald.
Well, I do definitely remember what Rouge's outfit looks like. Oh boy, security hall. I think it's probably just consecutive abilities. I've probably got Thunder Arrow, and you've probably got Charm Ray.
Here we go.
This isn't too bad.
I mean, if she likes it, that's awesome. Now, Security Hall. This is a terrible level your first time playing through it.
Oh yeah. Just getting the time mechanic introduced, and you don't even know the layout of the place that well.
From then on, it's not so bad, and young me was absolutely fed up with the amount of high technical skill you needed for some of the later missions. But now I appreciate them because it's just a good application of everything you learned in the game, even though it didn't teach you at the time. I also find it interesting that the majority of Rouge's search missions do not involve the Master Emerald pieces.
Oh, 5 seconds? That's hay.
Take this. We're tied now.
We're tied now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, confusion a lot more powerful than just time stop.
It's gotta be close.
Oh, you found it?
All the
Yeah.
last two will be mine.
As I understand, all of these costumes are from Phantasy Star. It's a series I've never played. But Rouge really stands out.
And most people just wear like full body outfits. And Rouge is the only one with distinct pants and
The shorts, but yeah. Alright, so back to random. Always picking red, so you're Knuckles. Normal. And I am Alternative Rouge.
I will protect the Master Emerald. Select the stage.
This isn't too bad.
I am one with the Master Emerald.
I thought I got that right.
oh sure, you get confusion now.
So Wild Canyon. Interesting in that the song is all about Rouge, despite this being a Knuckles level. Well, not all about, but there are significant lyrics devoted to how sexy and smooth she is. But it's a pretty good first level. It's nice, wide open, and it's already over.
Okay.
All the last two will be mine.
Once you get up here, it kind of pans out a bit, but it's still a really nice contained area, and you don't even need those hint boxes once you've gone through it once. It's very easy to just sweep across the entire area and find everything.
Yeah. It's like 3 main distinct areas. There's the bottom area, then there's the 2 pathways at the top.
Alright. So you're Alt Nux, and I am Chaos.
I will protect the Master Emerald.
This is not going to go well.
Select a stage.
Now, Pumpkin Hill I found to be a rather stellar level. It's absolutely huge, but they very cleanly divided it up into the different areas.
I just kind of wish that they divided it up a little bit more. I don't know, put a little bit more landmarks in 1 or 2 areas.
Well, it blows the pants off of any of the pyramid levels.
It's closer.
Yeah, turn.
Destiny.
Sleep Behind the Pumpkin, okay. It's got a very catchy tune for what it is. Poor Larry. do something bad, this might happen. Oh dear.
Die. We're both going to graveyard for this.
Not sure where else it would be.
No time for games.
Oh, I know what it's talking about.
Take this.
I just don't know where it would be.
Yeah, that's the main issue I have with it, is that they talk about Ghost Rain Station, but aside from being like 3 or 4 really high vertical places, I don't really know what they look like.
Sorry, it said it was at the train station?
So something about Ghost Train Station.
Here. I'm not getting anything.
This is the Ghost Train turntable. Move the switch in the direction you want the train to go.
No time for games. Take this.
Oh, there we go.
For good measure.
Not as strong as you thought you were.
Oh, it was a tombstone. When it said you might go here if you do something bad, I thought it was in a cage.
That is equally dark.
Hey, come on, jail.
Oh, I thought you was like, bad to me, you go into the naughty cage now.
Alright, so green is Rouge.
And then you got to call.
Yep.
I've never thought to call.
Select a stage.
Okay, meteor herd. I do not appreciate how random the meteors are. Especially when collecting 100 rings. Blue moon.
I mean, it's rare enough to get hit by the meteors, but it's always when you need to have your rings, or when you're pretty vulnerable.
Well, I wanted them to hit me early on in the 100 rings so that I could reset the level and get a whole bunch that way. This place is absolutely massive. Thankfully, most of them tend to be sort of in this middle or top area. So it's a bit of a pain to actually start the level. Sorry, start the level. But once you're there, you just kind of do it.
Trying to figure out a way to get up top.
Yeah, I know. They've taken away all our rockets.
I'm sorry. It's gotta be cold when you're pounding your hip
Ugh.
What's in the box? We could both use one.
And stars. Not a particularly useful one. Down below.
Well, you know what that means.
Tikal was not a good choice for this area.
It's gotta
As soon as it says down below, we both start drilling down.
Yeah. Which is a shame because I was doing better at getting up. Alright, so, favorite characters.
I've never failed one mission.
Alternate costume?
I will protect the Master Emerald. Select a stage.
Oh god, Death Chamber.
Is this
It's-
Knuckles version?
Yeah, it's Rouge's level but without the stealth mechanic, and that's either better or worse. It's less ingenuitive,
To the likes of you.
Here we go.
but it's a bit easier to just traverse through it. Thankfully, they've taken away all the mechanisms, and I am going to run away clearly.
It's closer.
Yep, that one's not mine.
It's not.
Oh, okay, maybe I will
I
take it.
died.
It's gotta be close.
Oh my god, camera. What are you doing?
Looks like I'm winning. As usual. I thought I could do it.
That might have actually helped you.
So guys, just hit draw.
I was just thinking spot get closer to the middle.
Here I come. Hit drop.
Did we get a clue?
Nope.
Here I come. Hit drop.
No time for games. Take this.
Oh boy, dizziness. Really annoying.
It's closer. We're tied now.
We're tied now. Alright, let's get it started.
Bugs on patrol.
This is the Rouge stage.
Five horizontal bugs.
It's gotta be close.
Ah, you probably got this.
There you go.
Yeah, I just got there.
To be mine.
Mad Space. Mad Space is a blemish on this game.
I won't lose to the
Now,
likes of
I like the idea of the hint system. Just screwing around with that. That was a pretty good idea. The problem I have with it is, one, it's another gravity mechanic area, which we understand how good this game is at gravity. And it is freaking huge!
I mean, I'm kind of not the biggest fan of the hint system because it didn't quite give hints on how to solve it.
They do. There is an Omochao right at the beginning that tells you that, hey, that something's screwy with the hints.
Yeah, but they don't explain like what to do with the hints in like some bizarre way. Because like each set of hints you get, they are different.
Looks like I'm winning.
One is backwards, and the other two are just blatant lines. It's not that bad.
I think I would have been fine if it was just the planets, but there was also that whole down below area that they have.
Yeah, that is just randomly there.
And it's just one of those last resort. Look for your stuff in that place.
Combo!
No time for games. Take this.
There's something with green something. Growing.
There's green.
Oh, crap, sorry.
Here we go.
Well, guess we're playing this even more.
My favorite level.
Tired light.
Oh, you caught that fast enough.
Star under the light. Is not a useful clue.
Yeah, a lot of these clues are talking about very small things that you won't notice. I'll help pinpoint the location once you kind of know where it is, but...
You gotta get there first, too.
It's closer. We're tied now.
Lonely light in the dark.
Where is the dark? Where is the darkness? These are not helpful clues.
I'm just waiting for my radar to go off.
No time for games. Take this.
Don't dig under the light.
This is lonely meteorite.
What?
This is the holy planet.
There.
It's gotta be close. All the world's doing will be mine.
That space is rough.
When they said smallest meteorite, I assumed Capsule Planet because it's huge.
They didn't lie quite yet. Or maybe the lonely... Or, did they say lonely planet or...
Lonely meteorite and the smallest meteorite. Something like that.
I think the lonely one was first. It's got a lot of holes, it's got a lot of friends.
Alright. For the next mode.
Who will you be?
It is close. I am just in the lead.
Who will you be?
11 to 9.
Yep.
Cyclone
The world is mine. Select a stage.
Okay. Ooh.
That's level 2.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Right. So, Deck Race and Pyramid Race are very interesting because they share almost nothing in common with the rest of these levels. They're races.
It's a short race.
I'll beat you.
Do you think you can beat me?
Apparently. So, Tails and Eggman. I liked Tails a lot when he was quiet. He is... Like, I don't want to hate him, but he ends up being rather obnoxious. And maybe that's because they're trying to cast him as a young genius. And so they just make him a little naive, but... And they have also not had a great track record with the VAs for him. But props on getting a transforming mech out of that plane. Dr. Eggman, I never thought much of him before this game. When it came to this game, unlike Tails, his voice actor absolutely sold me on him.
Voice actor was really great for him.
And this is, I think in the next game, he's mostly serious. This is where he's the most serious. And he was the same voice actor for the first Sonic Adventure, but he was a lot more Saturday cartoon villain in that one. This one is just full-on beast mode Eggman. You get over there.
I know I prefer...
Oh, stage. So this... I think there's another one here. What was Tails
Pyramid?
missing one? Was Tails missing the pyramid?
Well, isn't this pyramid?
It is, but I want to just check the other levels, because I think there's a pyramid.
Space?
Uh,
Go-kart? Oh, no.
okay, yeah. We're missing Tails' hidden base level. That was painful for 100 rings. It's, again, one of the more flavorless levels. It's one of the ones where they bring in the dynamite packs, so those are always fun. But it feels more like a slow romp, which isn't quite what you want out of a Sonic game.
I know I mostly prefer Tails in Sonic Adventure 1, his types of stages.
Alright, so Chow Walker and Dark Chow Walker. Chow Walker moves quickly, but has weaker attack and defense. Dark Chow Walker moves slowly, but is increased attack and defense. These are a phenomenal idea. I absolutely love them.
Select this.
Very cute.
So here's the main mode where we're actually going and fighting each other.
Is it still split screen or...
I think we share a screen.
Get back here. You're supposed to be the fast character.
Ah, you got me. Oh, we gotta keep talking about the stages. Weapons Bed. I like Weapons Bed. It's all about setting up these combos on these dead, targetable robots, causing as much destruction as you walk through. It's a lot of fun.
I personally don't really have too much of an opinion on most of the Tails and Eggman levels. There are certainly ones that are better, some ones that are worse. I'm looking at you, the 10-minute stage.
We'll get to that one later.
I don't even know its name.
Cosmic Ball.
Oh, okay, right.
So, Iron Gate. This was Eggman's starting level. This one I actually have a lot of fun with. Because, once again, you're just going around destroying stuff, breaking into secure gun building. And it's very well constructed that you can get through it in a very quick and skillful manner. Like the way I was dismantled there.
See, this has been my plan. I'm just gonna dominate you in the mech fights.
Apparently. Alright, all colors.
The world is mine.
So Alt Tails gets no special attacks. Yes, there are special attacks. In fact, I think you've managed to do one.
The multiverse.
Yeah. But he goes insanely fast. Way beyond what the Chow Walker is capable of. Which is why we did not use him in the race. I was able to defeat you quite soundly with normal Tails. Oh, there is Hidden Base. And there's some other one that I'm missing for Tails.
It's got the highway.
I'll show you how
Never mind the
powerful
highway.
my cyclone is.
I like it, Cam.
Oh right, Eggman loses the homing shot.
But all of his special attacks are lasers.
Whoa!
No! I can recover! No!
You can fly off the stage and lose that way?
Yep. I call shenanigans in that one. I could clearly get myself back up. But I hit the kill plane.
Nope, no. Tails already gave up.
Apparently. Alright. Random it up. Alright, so you're Chow Walker.
Normal Chow Walker.
And I am Alt Tails.
It's a fight of the speedsters. I think one of the speedsters is a lot better than the other though.
Which one are we missing? That's... I'll have to do a review after. Mission Street, it just kind of ends up feeling slow. And there are a couple areas where robots and planes drop on you without you knowing about them. So they just completely wreck you without any way to interact or expect them. You take a bullet, please? At least that was quick.
Little did you know, I was a competitive Tails and Eggman fighting master.
Yellow, so that's Dark Chow, and I'm Alt Eggman. This would almost be unfair if I were winning.
The world is mine.
Select a stage.
Sand Ocean. It's also fairly underwhelming. It's pyramid level at night.
No match for me.
I know my
From a
biggest
lore
issue-
perspective, though, it's got the most... It brought up the most plot holes, I think.
I know I had a problem with Sand Ocean and its speed requirements. Oh my god, that laser is fast. I know how to get around the laser. Just like you do in the boss fight. You jump over him.
Okay, so you're Tails. And I'm Eggman.
Cyclone engage.
The world is mine.
Select a stage.
So, Cosmic Wall. This really screamed like they wanted a level in which they force you to get 100,000 points for your A. And in principle, that's pretty cool. But, it is so long. They really should have split it up into 2 levels, because they've got the on-rails section, and they've got the hovering upward section, and I am just not doing anything this match. And you could have better... you probably could have devoted levels individually to those and gotten a better experience out of them.
I know they tried to focus on the rails section.
And you do need something other than just on the rails.
Yeah.
You do need to have some freedom of movement at the level. It's just weird that they picked the interesting hover mechanic to pair with that.
I think the biggest problem is it feels very sluggish for almost all of it. So,
I'm not sure I have a favorite here. I am doing absolutely terribly.
I haven't played with alternate rails, so.
Cyclone engage.
Select a stage.
Okay. Eternal Engine. It's interesting that they took your lock-on mechanic and turned it against you,
For the boss fight? Oh, in general, right?
in general.
Oh, man,
because
that's
of all
fast.
the, yeah, he or really fast. And of course I can't lock onto him.
This is one of the few times that we get split screen.
Yes, this was a poor choice here. It's nice that they brought us back to Eggman's Arena. That was a murder.
He's too fast. I can't keep up.
It's that, and because we have split screen and I don't have lock on.
Yeah, I couldn't tell where you were most of the time. Just random fire all
Yeah.
the time.
Okay, and Lost Colony. That was kind of cool, but it felt like they underutilized the main mechanic of it, which was blow up things to generate light. And there was even this sort of in-the-dark maze that was three-dimensional they had to navigate.
No match
I'll
for
show
me.
you how powerful
I wish that the... oh, yeah, this part. I kind of wish that... kill you.
This is
But that
surprisingly
each
cool.
kill ended up producing more light.
You're no match for me.
Well, that's gonna kind of be useful, I guess.
Don't worry, I got first blood on myself.
You're no match for me.
the machine has reached its limit.
You're no match for me.
Where are you hiding?
You're no match for me.
Were you just beside me?
Yeah.
You're no match for me.
Wow. Oh, there you are.
That's just what you need, a shield.
You're no match for me. I'll make you pay for this.
Oh! Alright, well. Well done. It was close up until this, but you pulled ahead.
Good game. Wait, how many points do you have?
It's not
I have
easy to tell.
17, but like... oh,
13 to 17.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, there is one more multiplayer experience that I need to take care of. I don't want to do Chow Race, so let's settle in karate. Which is the best child?
Putting them in the average competition of Hunger Games. Without weapons. Oh.
Oh!
I think you pick for both.
Okay. No, try A. There we go.
Okay.
Which is the goodest good boy?
Who are you reading for?
Bianca, obviously. Good start on your part.
The dodge.
The counter dodge. The counter dodge. Okay, I'm on the board. Oof.
Guy's about to go to sleep.
Oh.
Oh. Decimated by an arrow.
Yep. Okay. Let's figure out what that last stage that I have to review is.
Decide the rules of engagement. Select a stage.
The chart level?
No, I explicitly discounted them.
Okay.
So it's gotta be a Tails level. We did Mission Street. Prison Lane, yes, that's the one. I like Eggman's level as a first level much better. It's a lot more streamlined. You can just sort of zoom through it. Tails is alright, but you're spending a lot of time waiting and shooting down the right targets, and there's no proper indication which target you have to shoot down.
I can agree with that assessment.
And then I suppose the very last one, Green Hill Zone.
Terrible level. Terrible. I don't know what they were thinking.
It feels a lot more like it's a testbed level than anything else.
They do have a testbed level. I know how to get it. It's very complicated.
Okay.
You're supposed to get a key after you hit the goal ring, and that usually involves dying at a very specific point to do so. At least I believe that's how you get to the test ring. I know it has to do with the Chow keys.
Something complicated like that.
Yeah.
Also, not featured in multiplayer, Cannon's Core, which I think was overall pretty good. There could have maybe been a couple of tweaks here and there to really tighten it up, but just the idea of going through all the different characters for one level and having them all sort of pass along the baton as they go, especially when you're going for the Chow mission, except for poor useless Tails.
That was pretty neat. I might have preferred if they spaced out Tails and Eggman section and Rouge and Knuckles section, but I'm honestly not too big of a. It's not too big of a deal the way that they had it.
I think the contrast between the two characters, even though their playstyles were all identical, was a nice way to handle it.
Did you do permanent time stop, or have you talked about that?
I'm not familiar with how to get it permanent. I got it very significantly lasting.
If you hit the time stop dial at a really high speed, usually you do it in Sonic section, and you do a spin dash into it, you can make the time stop permanent for the rest of the level.
Oh wow.
So as long as
Granted, there's not a lot of level left at that point.
Yeah. It's based off of the distance away from it when you hit it. I know you can activate it while you're in Tails' stage, but that's a lot more difficult to do. But with Sonic, you can consistently do it with a spin dash. And the water at the end of the Sonic stage will stop flowing, so you basically get free reign over that area. You can collect all the rings, although I know that there is 1 or 2 issues with that.
Alright, so overall for the game. So, for the most part, I think this actually keeps up with my nostalgia. I think overall this is still a fairly good game. I have my gripes with it. Don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect game. But when you get a level that works, it really works. And yes, absolutely, there is a bias towards the speed stages, because this is kind of where Sonic does and is supposed to excel. There are, like, looking back at Sonic Adventure, I kind of wish that they brought the Tails levels instead of the, well, especially instead of the Knuckles levels, but even instead of the Gamma levels. But I understand that it'd be really close to Sonic, and in the terms of the story they came up with, how many times would you be in a race against another character?
I know they're mostly going for a sort of parallelism between the light and the dark side.
Mm-hmm. And hey, first game you get to play as Eggman, and I think they really knocked it out of the park with that. Cosmic Wall notwithstanding.
I mostly liked Sonic Adventure 2. Playing it again a few months ago, for me, you kind of realize all the sort of glitchiness that's in all the levels, like the gravity pillars and shadow stages just not really connecting that well.
And they felt a lot worse than I remembered them being.
Yeah.
Which is not a good sign.
And there's a couple of places where it's just a little bit awkward. Like if you're falling in one of the final rush or final chase in a certain direction, you kind of fall in that direction. So if you're falling at like a 45 degrees, instead of following gravity as soon as you leave that area, you keep falling at a 45-degree angle.
And I do have to comment on the kart racing. I don't think it had any place in this game. They just sort of jammed it in. I don't think it was to fill up space to get in extra emblems, because you could have easily cut this off at 160 or 170 or whatever. I get the feeling that they actively wanted to include this. It just didn't really come out the way they wanted it to.
It's a precursor to Sonic All-Star Racing, of course. 10 years before.
And I do have to say about the Chow. When you're young and you're first discovering the Chow, these things are absolutely incredible. They're adorable. You love going to the stages and coming back and raising them. And it's just amazing to watch them grow up. Coming back to it from a perspective of trying to accomplish 100% completion, though, it is incredibly tedious. Even when you get the exploit in the Hero Garden, it takes way too long to get what you need. And it's just, you can't really pace it once you get into that mindset, because they've got all these different stages of all these different races and karate and all that. And that's kind of gives you the hint that you want to take these on like sort of one at a time, and then do a batch of training, and then do another one, and then do a batch of training, and so on and so forth. But once you get into the mindset of, okay, we gotta max this thing out to get everything, then you're just absolutely decimating every contest, and it's a waste of time. I don't like that they broke each race into either 3 or 5 sub-races for the Jewel and Beginner courses. Because, yeah, you're just wasting time. You get nothing for those first 4 in each of those races.
Yeah. The exploit can be done in any garden, which you've probably talked about.
Yeah, you can do it in any garden. The problem is that the Chow will move around, and that will screw up.
Yeah, you get a lot more security in Hero Garden because it bounces off the building. Biggest gripe is probably just having to do the races multiple times over. When you're just starting a file, you have to do that. I think if you play another file with already completed like Chow Garden, you can skip the races.
I don't think like anyone speed running 100% would be allowed to do that.
Yeah,
But I have to imagine they've got some sort of exploit to not waste 4 hours in the Chow Garden.
yeah.
Well, no, you've got to waste 3 hours to evolve them. So try to max them out without going into the hero garden is probably the way to go. Unless there is some sort of game-breaking exploit.
I'm fine with the karate. It's just the races. There are way too many races.
Way too many.
Even without repeating, you're still doing like 30 races.
Yeah. Well, Challenge Hero, and Dark Cup, they're all 2 races done 4, 4, and 12 times.
Yeah.
And then each of the jeweled and beginner ones are their own courses. But despite the gripes, despite the glitches, despite some of these missions, I think I really enjoyed my time coming back to Sonic Adventure 2. Just overall. And it's the gameplay does a lot for it, but I think the strongest point of this game is the soundtrack. Would you agree?
A lot of the songs are really good. There's some very notable ones, like the first couple Knuckle stages, City Escape.
Let's see. Like City Escape. Radical Highway is a bit repetitive, but I still enjoy it. Mission Street. Aquatic Mine. Pumpkin Hill. White Jungle's sort of more of a background tune,
Yeah.
as is Green Forest.
I remember Iron Gate quite well. A couple of boss music as well. It's
Yeah.
also fairly memorable. I'm mostly thinking Sonic vs. Shadow.
It's mostly the Sonic and Shadow courses that have the good music. And, of course, Live and Learn.
Yes, of course.
Live and Learn is a great song, even though it is constantly playing in your ears. It's been playing over the past 5 or so minutes as we've been going over this on an incessant, like, 2-bar loop.
Still a good song.
It is, it absolutely is. Okay, I think that covers everything. So, with that, we're done Sonic Adventure 2. And we're going to move on to the next game tonight. So, there's going to be a roughly 5-minute wait time as we shut down the stream and get everything set up. And when we come back, we'll be playing some Kirby Superstar. See you guys in just a little bit.